RevOpsAF, the only podcast for people who are RevOpsAF and want to learn all about things that are RevOps AF.
Our goal is to give the revenue operations community, that includes marketing, sales, and CS, for any of you not paying attention, the skills needed to accelerate their careers. Hello and welcome to RevOpsAF. I'm one of your co-hosts, Camela Thompson, and today I am joined by Yuri Yakubov. Yuri, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Camela. Thank you for having me. I'm head of finance and business operations here at TigerEye Labs. I've had a bit of a meandering career path. The common thread in my career is I've always worked with data. I started on kind of a consulting, got my MBA, and worked in analytic consulting, then finance, revenue operations, and now do a little bit of all the above. I am the one and only finance person here at TigerEye, and a small but mighty team of one other person for business operations. We run all revenue operations here as well. TigerEye focuses on, we're building a BI platform for go-to-market teams with natural AI layer to help access.
I have a somewhat similar background, studied economics pretty heavily, the financial analyst route, went to operations, and then went to marketing. So, you're never stuck and you can always change things up.
That's what I always tell people who are earlier in their careers. Like, I feel like I was always so stressed about making the right choice in my career. And it's like, there's no such thing as the right choice. Do what's interesting to you at the moment, do it well, and it'll open up many doors for you in the future. And the fact that we often try to get people at 18 years old to choose their major and then that'll be your path. That's always crazy to me.
I agree. Like, rather than focusing on what decisions to make, just be nice to people because you're probably going to run into them again.
That is very true.
Yeah. So speaking of, I love metrics and data and the chaos that can be created when people aren't aligned on them and the arguments that happen. So let's talk about that a little bit. What have you seen? Because I have trauma.
I have a lot of trauma. I've been on both sides of it, delivering data to people, but also requesting data from data teams. I think the biggest issue that I usually run across in my career is that, as a rule, I think data people at speaking sales or marketing or finance or whatever topic that is being requested of them, the people in sales or marketing or whatever other go-to-market role aren't good at speaking data. So you end up having all these disconnects. Data people doing their best to build reports, build models, whatever it is, for the go-to-market teams. But there's always people talking past each other. I find that a lot of tools for go-to-market teams are too data science. They try to present things in a data science-y way that a lot of salespeople understand, and neither should they, right? They don't have that background. And that's really where I've seen a lot of disconnect and a lot of wasted time just going back and forth. First, you have to translate requests to the data people. The data people then have to go build it. They have to translate the data back to the salespeople. By the time that's all done and put together, usually those reports are then stale and out of date, and you're starting the cycle all over.
Yeah, I'm nodding like crazy because it's very familiar. So I have seen some common causes, but what have you seen in terms of where does this disconnect happen beyond the analyst and the individual contributor or the manager speaking a somewhat different language?
Yeah, I think the tools that we use for reporting are often generalist tools, whether it's Looker, Tableau, Power BI, whatever it is. They're by nature built to be broad. They can be used for anything. They can be used for product, for finance, for go-to-market. Because those tools are broad, you need somebody who knows how to use them in a very specialized way. Because that person is specialized in building reports and working with data and ETLing, moving data back and forth, they're not specialized in the things we talked about, like understanding sales. So, and you have a sales leader, I'm gonna say, I need a report that works on the funnel, right? That's a common use case that I bang my head against the wall. I'm often just trying to build simple funnels. That alone just will take a very long time because to train the data person to understand what's an SQL, what's an MQL. Why is it important to have both a created by field, created date filter, and a closed date filter? And just all these things that are so natural to a lot of market leaders are not natural to data folks. And that creates a challenge, right? Now you can report out of Salesforce, which is obviously native, but you often also end up running into the same issue because you have very well-intentioned Salesforce admins or sales ops analysts who've never done sales. And again, they hopefully understand it a little better than a data team, but you still run into that issue where they're just not building exactly what you expect. The other issue is that often, as a sales leader, you might go to your RevOps analyst or a data team and say, I need this. And it's a very moment in time request. You have something that is on top of your mind and you need an answer to that. Just through the nature of most companies, it's going to take you at best days, at worst months, to go build that report because you're going to have meetings, figure out what exactly you're building. By the time that's done, it's already going to be out of date, right? Like, even if it's live data, you're going to be like, oh, well, our priorities have shifted. Now we need something different. And you end up in this endless cycle, building and updating reports that are never done and never correct because your business shifts. Way that I think most companies have these teams set up, again, very well intentioned, is that they're just unable to move fast enough because humans in general cannot move fast enough. They're often also not dedicated to the go-to-market team. They're having to prioritize product requests and marketing, or like marketing, what are HR requests? And it all just takes a long time. It creates this big issue.
Yeah. Yes, it does. I felt it. And it's so strange because when I went from providing the reports to representing marketing in the boardroom, I had this light bulb moment of, oh, this is why they were asking all the questions and they weren't the right questions. And if I'd known what they were really trying to do, I would have gone about this a little bit differently. So what do you think can help close the gap between people who don't always know exactly what to ask for, but they know they have a problem, and pulling that information and getting the context we need to actually pull the right information?
So I think this is where AI can actually be really powerful. I know it's the topic du jour. Everybody talks about it, and there's a lot of misconceptions about what AI can or can't do, but also a lack of understanding of how it can be really powerful to address this exact issue that we're talking about. AI can be, because it's in their natural language model. They allow you to interact with your tools using natural language. They allow you to iterate using natural language much faster. So a lot of these tools do need some set first. Where we see it going is you end up with an AI analyst who you can iterate on and ask these questions quickly and get to a place where you need to get to quickly. AI can help because they're large language models. Therefore, they understand human language very well. They can understand your as a go-to-market leader and help translate it into the language that, for example, a data team needs. And it can really be that bridge where it's actually what we're working on. TigerEye is creating that natural language ability to actually interact with your data. One of the big problems with AI and large language models is that they're not good at data. They're not large data models. There are steps companies can take. And again, what we're working on is to allow you to interact with your data using that same natural language that you would interacting with any AI model. And you can ask questions and you can really quickly iterate and really quickly understand your data. You might not get to a perfect answer, but you can at least get 80% of the way and then go to somebody and be like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Can you help me quickly get to where I need to be?
So as somebody who's been an analyst and made a really great career out of analyzing and interpreting data, the people listening to this who are also analysts and thinking, why would I want to use something that could replace me? How should people think about this if they're an analyst?
It won't replace you. It can give you superpowers. Think about it this way. Somebody still needs to set up the information in a way that is properly accessible, properly structured, can properly answer those questions. Because if you just throw a bunch of junk data, it's the whole garbage in, garbage out problem. If you put garbage into an AI model, it's not going to give you a good answer. So there still needs to be somebody who's able to work with the AI. Where it could give you superpowers is when you're a sales leader, and I think we've all been there, preps for the week at 7 a.m. on Sunday, so it starts firing off a bunch of questions to you. You don't have to be the person that is there working at 7 a.m. answering them. AI can now do that because you have properly set it up to be able to answer them. Also, AI can't do strategic stuff for you right now, right? Like when the question is, hey, we need to go, we're going to double our sales team. We need to carve 10 territories into 20. AI is not that right now, right? Like maybe one day it will be. But right now, you as an analyst still get to work on those more interesting strategic stuff. And you can move from one of the big headaches I always had in RevOps, actually in a lot of these analytical roles, is you're often doing like reactive. Why did we do poorly in this territory? What happened there? You're going just pulling data for somebody. Instead, running a RevOps team, the complaint from a lot of our analysts was like, hey, I want to be doing more strategic stuff. We all want to be doing more strategic stuff. Well, having these type of tools can help take that burden off doing the basic like reporting, answering questions at 7 a.m. and help actually give you time to go focus on strategic things. You still need to go figure out, hey, our sales process seems to be bogged down somewhere. I can help you figure out, help you access the data, help you get to it quickly, but it's not going to be able to optimize your process for you. And you can all of a sudden have those types of, actually, at a customer of ourselves, that it feels like this gives our team superpowers because we can answer the question very quickly and be able to iterate and be able to do strategic things. And look, like I think life of most RevOps people is that you're not working 9 to 5, 40-hour weeks, right? Like hopefully it can also give you a little bit of a work-life balance back. That's really my.
Yeah. So one thing that always makes me nervous when, I'm not saying this about TigerEye, of course, but when somebody sells to me, this is a replacement for your analyst, your executive team just types in a question, we answer it. My nervous reflex for that always is twofold. One, there's a reason why we need to establish a common definition for a metric and put guardrails around it. Like they can ask layered questions on top of it, but we need a consistent baseline so someone doesn't type in one variation, another person type in another one. Number two, I've seen this play out all the time when people are not performing well and nervous about their job. They start inspecting other people's business and ask very slanted questions in order to get the answers they want. So how do you all think about counteracting some of these behaviors?
Sure. So for the first one, this has been a very hot button topic for us since we started building the product. We have what we call a metrics gallery where you can actually go in and define metrics however you want to. We have a customer who defines win rate in a very specific way, weighted on dollars instead of just like tickets. I had the same reaction as you did, but like
I can't play poker. I make a face.
It's your business, right? And you can define it however you want. They are able to go into this metrics guide, actually define their win rate. If you want to stack rank your analysts based on win rate, it's going to define win rate the way you want to see it. We've very intentionally set up the product for that. And again, that's where a RevOps person or data person will go in and set that up for the whole company. It's like everybody has access to it that's going to be messing around with it. It is defined company. So no matter who asks what I want to see my win rate, it's going to be defined the same way. Very intentional.
Smart. Glad you did that.
It's been an interesting learning experience on this, working with our product team and talking to a lot of customers, because all of a sudden you're realizing like things that seem common sense, like win rate, are very much not. Funnels are all over. The people want to see funnels so differently. You have to walk this fine line, giving somebody something that works out of the box, but is also customizable. And that's been, honestly, one of the bigger product challenges that we've had to deal with, because we really want something that's easy to use, easy to turn on.
Yeah, and I've talked to a lot of seed stage where that hasn't occurred to that. And all I can think of is the chaos that ensues, because so much of my job as an analyst was myth busting and, hey, your analyst ran this report with different filters. Of course, it's going to look different. That's why they should refer to these definitions. I'll go work with them on that, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're really trying to build that in from day one. To address the second part of your question, we do set up guardrails on the AI and how it answers questions. We take security and kind of role-based access control very seriously. If your company only wants you to see your own data, we are able to do that. You can't just be like, man, I got PIP. Let me go see what everybody else is doing to see like the person's also failing. Why are they not on a PIP? Which we know happens, right? If you want a person to only see their own data, you can do that as well. That's not going to be perfect, right? Because like one of the challenges with natural language is that you can, let's say, finagle it to answer a question in a way maybe that is not great because by the way you ask it. But the reality is it's the same thing. Like if you have a junior analyst on a RevOps team that you go bug for reports, that you could do the same thing, right? Like it's.
Oh, yeah.
So I won't say it's a problem that's 100% solved, but I think
we can, though. People
Yeah.
be people in, you know? Like I can see the first question that's going to show me lead distribution by territory, as the sales manager would ask to prove that marketing isn't giving everybody a fair opportunity. That's not really how marketing works. I mean, I wish we could do that, but
Right.
not every healthcare company is in every state, you know? Like there's lopsided distribution. It's a problem.
But at the same time, we do think that I also believe that data shouldn't be hidden, right? Like
Right.
you should be able to address issue. One of the things that our head of sales says that I really like, she talks about how she owns her number. She should also own the data and have the access to the data. Because a lot of times, going back to one of the first questions we talked about, one of the big challenges I think go-to-market teams have is that you could be a sales leader, my prior role, a sales leader, you have a $200 million number, right? But you're fighting for resources to be able to answer the most basic questions about that $200 million. You just don't end up having the resources you need to be able to answer very basic questions. There's also this phenomenon that I've seen at most companies I've worked at where, for whatever reason, product teams tend to get prioritization around using data science resources.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure there's reasons for it. I have not spent a lot of time on the product side in my career. It's crazy to me to, hey, you're responsible for our entire revenue number for the company, but you're going to have second, maybe third priority around getting questions answered from our smart. It also drives some of this disconnect. I do think companies should be able to have those hard conversations of like, why are our territories not balanced? You should have a good answer to that.
At the same time, though, I mean, yes, territories should be balanced. Just depends on what stage you're at, too. And if you have more developed territories than others, it's just going to happen. But you should be able to have those conversations. I think what needs to happen more often, though, is people need to realize that a tool isn't going to solve for bad behavior that's allowed top
100%.
down.
Yes.
So if you have this propensity towards infighting and somebody's trying to throw like lob bombs in a board meeting, that's so inappropriate. And your CEO or CRO or whoever is at the head of this needs to sit people down and say, these are great questions. Ask them before the board meeting so we have some exposure and can figure out what's going on instead of just like throwing someone on this soapbox.
I 100% agree with that. No tool can help solve companies' cultural issues. That's on the CRO, CEO, whoever to stamp out. If you're worried about data transparency because you have a bad culture, you need to go fix that culture.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with you. I'm not blaming the tool. I'm just saying people be people in.
No, that's...
You can't like hope to avoid the issue. You just got to face it head on.
An old boss of mine, I don't know if he came up with this quote, probably not. He said something that always stuck with me. He said, business is easy, people are hard. Oh, and I think that is the most, it's true.
Oh, yeah.
You can try to make all the right decisions. You can have all the best data. And as you say, people are going to be people and they're going to have their own biases and their own preconceived notions and their own behavioral issues and their own things that make all this hard.
Yeah. You're always going to hear, I know that's what the data says, but I don't feel like it's okay. It's okay. It happens to everybody. So is there anything around AI solving a lot of these problems that I haven't asked you that you would like to talk about?
AI is not going to be some panacea that solves all of your company problems, as we talked about. I think where it can be really powerful, not just from the data side that I've been addressing, there's a lot of other AI tools that can be really powerful around increasing the velocity of your business in the sense that you can answer questions faster, you could do things faster, you can start getting rid of some of the lag and unintentional time wasting that really kills productivity and therefore profitability in your business.
Okay.
If you can circuit, there's a lot of great note-taking tools that can fill in your pick or whatever it is for you. So you don't have to go sit after a customer meeting for 30 minutes filling in information that we all know everybody hates doing. You can get data questions answered so much faster. AI tools aren't perfect yet. That may never be perfect. Even in their imperfect state today, they can really help increase that productivity from everybody across the organization.
Absolutely. I know earlier in my career, people would encourage me to give insights instead of reports, which is absolutely the right thing to do. But when you are not allowed to invest in anything out of Excel, it takes so much time to just get the report that you don't have time to do the insights. When you have a tool to help you like this, you can make proactive recommendations and start investigating things before the board meeting and answering questions ahead of time. This is fantastic. So, Yuri, thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people find you to network?
I'm on LinkedIn. I have a fairly unique name. Actually, I might be the only Yuri Yakubov on LinkedIn, so I'm pretty easy to find. You can go to TigerEye.com. I'm on there on the people page, so you can find me in either place, but I'll be very excited for the conference. Man, New Orleans is one of my favorite cities in the world. I'm excited to meet people there and do my talk as well.
Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode, everybody.
For more great content like this, join our community at RevOpsCoop.com and check out the links provided in the show notes.
Keep your RevOps safe, y'all.